Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for the Vampire Lestat Season 3, Episode 5. But you know, when you're at a rock concert sometimes and the music is so loud, you start to feel like this ringing in your ears. You feel really overwhelmed. That was me in like the last 10 minutes of this episode where I think we had the most beautiful musical performance we've had this entire season. I would watch a Sam Reed concert. He can be Lestat or not Lestat. Like, I don't care. But after listening that, and then we went straight almost into Akasha just like screaming. I was just like, what is going on?
Everything with that song and Claudia and the ashes and, seeing Louis back with Lestat where he was explaining what he did and what he was doing, and seeing Lestat go into that restaurant with Regina and coming back his heart is just, broken. His eyes are filling with tears. Like, this is Interview with a Vampire at its best.
Yes.
With these two together dealing with this heartbreak from the past that neither one of them have gotten through. Oh my goodness, like, this show has been really good and I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But this episode gave me what I've been just yearning for, which is more Louis and Lestat dealing with their feelings for each other, dealing with their feelings over what happened with Claudia, grief and pain that they have not gotten through. This show is absolutely at its best when it is this emotional. I wept.
I had a hard time just getting through it. I went back and listened to that performance at least like 3 times. And I've had my fair share of complaints with these last couple of episodes. Like, the Louis stuff, it felt disjointed. So just bringing
The
everything.
Gabriella stuff I'm out on.
Yeah, it's just like bringing everything together the way that they did in this episode and kind of making Louis face things, but also face things with Lestat, someone who, for better or worse, and a lot of times it was for worse, like they have gone through a lot of this together. Like, it was beautiful and it was profound, but then this episode still ends in a way where there's all these questions where I don't know how they're going to resolve all of this. There's not that much of this season left.
No. But before we go any further, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have so much more Lestat coming up here at the channel, and you don't want to miss out on that. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed.
And thank you as well to everyone who is joining our YouTube memberships. We have all sorts of great exclusive content over there, including a theory all about Lestat. Is he still alive? What's going on with him? Doing a deep dive on that opening scene back at the start of the season with the auction. Like, it is such a fun discussion. We highly suggest you check that out. And joining our memberships, it's just also a really great way to help support Jess and I and all the coverage we do here at the channel. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined over there.
Okay, let's just stick with Louis and Lestat.
Yes.
Because that conversation, watching Louis go through the motions with everything with Regina, where, he's really, really hurting and he is really trying to hold on to something that he knows in his heart he can't hold on to. This is not real. He feels like it could be. He's getting really confused. He has to call in Lestat. I am so glad that Lestat called out that he didn't call him after what happened in the attempt on his life. That he's like, okay, you're going through this and you're doing this to this waitress at this restaurant and you're putting yourself through all this pain, but I almost died in the street and you couldn't even pick up the phone. Like, I understand that we're vampires, but still.
It's a reminder that, I mean, all of these characters are really, really complicated. And Louis, I love Louis, but he's also selfish sometimes. And he doesn't think
And
about.
he knows he is.
Yeah, he doesn't think about other people in the ways he always should. He should have been there for Lestat. Lestat is more than justified to call him out for that. But I think Lestat's also human, ironically enough, to know that vampires, especially ones that have been around this long, it's such a select group of people, and not a lot of people are going to understand what Louis is going through. So Lestat's able to put some of these differences to the side, go in there himself, speak to Regina, and really call her out and make it clear to her that, I know why you're doing this, I understand all this, but this is hurting him. Do you really want to keep hurting him?
Yeah, and she's just like, he's offered me basically a job. He's paying me to do this. I'm willing to do this. I know that I look like her. And Lestat's like, yeah, but you're not her. There are things about her that you don't have. So you're absolutely not her. And yeah, you are continuing to hurt him. But for Lestat, I think this was a grief that he hadn't dealt with either. Like,
Mhm.
Louis is definitely not dealing with it, and now he's just not dealing with it well.
Yeah.
But Lestat had just not dealt with it,
Mhm.
and facing Regina and seeing how much she looks like Claudia, it opened the door of, okay, it's time to really deal with my grief over everything that I lost, my relationship with Louis, with her. It's, it's all gone. Now I'm, kind of living this empty lifestyle of being a rock star, etc., etc. And the real of life is about love, and I
Mhm.
just don't have that. And seeing her, like, it really just, it is about grief and how you deal with grief, and that is a very human thing.
And there's such an irony that despite both Louis and Lestat being vampires, they grieve in totally opposite ways. Like Louis is replaying things, cannot let anything go. Is trying to recreate this magic. Lestat, he has spent so much of his time, like you said, pretending to be a rock star or pretending to do other things or going to sleep. He just finds something
Pretending
else.
he doesn't care.
Yeah, he just distracts himself constantly with other stuff so that he doesn't really have to think about it. But when you live forever, that's kind of an impossible thing to keep up with. And I think he has to face all of these realizations. And they played really well how this was sort of the moment that snaps Lestat into reality and it makes him sit down and actually compose something that is really real and beautiful and touching. Like I enjoyed Lestat's other music, but it was very much the, oh, this is the persona I want to put out there versus like, oh, this is actually the real Lestat speaking now.
Yeah, he's made a bunch of diss tracks, is basically
Yes.
what he's done. And now he's in his Taylor Swift era where he is just singing from the heart. Everything is emotional and it's very raw and very real. So finally, he's just like, listen, I just gotta fire all you guys because this now, my music has changed. Obviously, everything we did before, it doesn't fit with this song. And this song is what I'm about now. So thanks, but I'm done with your time. Only vampires allowed, sort of thing. And you've got Larry be like, okay, peace, I'm out then. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm just gonna, best years of my life, but like, I have to leave. And the rest of the band is like, all right, make more. Let's make more. Okay, make us vampires. We're all good.
This is the sort of question where this is a very
Right
bizarre
thing.
question. I'm gonna ask this to you and everybody else. What if the Beatles recorded Abbey Road and then you had some other people in there and they were like, oh, by the way, us the Beatles, we're vampires and you don't get to understand this music. Like, are you gonna be willing to turn into a vampire so that you can understand Abbey Road? It's just when you hear something this beautiful, and I think that's a part of it for the rest of the band. Like they know how special this song was, and I think they want to connect with it. I mean, it was that good that I feel like it's the fame, it's the allure of understanding, it's like all these things that are compounding together. And I think that's why a lot of band members should be like Larry in this moment. But I think they understand that there is something here that they did not have, that they're even willing to record the entire album again for.
Yeah, and I think the real question is, what are people willing to do for fame? And it's not like the age-old question of what would you do for money? What would you do for $1 million, $10 million, $1 trillion? Everybody has an answer for that.
Yep.
But not everybody wants to be famous. There's a lot of us out there, me included, that are not interested in something like that. So it's like, oh, what would you do for fame? Nothing. Nothing is the answer. Please don't bring that to my doorstep. I'm not interested. But for this band,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a band, you're, I would think, hoping that beyond the music that there's, stability with it, that you're going to make a living at it. Maybe you're going to be the next Bono or Taylor Swift or whoever, and you're going to be able to have all these adoring fans. I don't know if you always get into music thinking there's not a possibility of that. And it does seem like Larry's like, yeah, you know what? The price of fame for me, it's not vampirism. I'm out. Like, this was great, great ride, but no thank you. But the rest of the band, that's the price of entry. No problem. They all up there cutting their hands, doing whatever. Here's my neck, have at it. I was like, oh, wow, okay.
think-
You really want to be famous.
It's also connected to what we saw earlier this season, where it's like a lot of these band members were trying to make something happen before Lestat even showed up,
Yeah.
and they weren't doing that well at it. Like, there's this feeling I feel like has to come with being super successful in this music world. I mean, I say this is that I was a front man in a band in high school for like 2 days. I'm not a very good singer. That's why the band didn't end up working out. But it's just like once you're in that room and you're practicing and the music's all coming to like, there's just this feeling and having these band members experience this out on tour, that fame, that admiration, that
Yep.
aura, like they are continuously chasing that. And I think there's also an allure to what Lestat's proposing about. Yeah, there's the immortality, but there's this like, oh, we get to live on as legends even after we are, quote unquote, gone. And Lestat's got this whole stunt planned. When it comes to that, I think
Yep.
all of this is just really, really alluring. And like Lestat himself, obviously, he does a great job of continuing to make them feel that because the whole you're not a vampire, you won't understand it thing. It's kind of like when somebody says, like, oh, you shouldn't date this person. And then, to pull the office out, then you're just like, oh, I want to date them even harder now. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see now in this limited amount of time, like what else happens for this band and like how much of this isn't ultimately connected to where we were with that auction at the start of the season.
And then everything that happened with Armand, because you've now got Lestat and Gabriella are just like, make more, make more. Okay, cool. Now we're on that road. And you've got Armand over here. No, we're not going to make any more. This is a problem. We
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this. He runs into Larry after Larry has already quit the band. That is not necessarily information that Armand knows exactly for sure. We saw him show up after he was having that conversation with the person on the other side of the subway. So how much did he hear? How much did he not hear? Who knows? The thing that's out there right now is that Lestat is dead and that there isn't any more of anything. They're secretly recording this album at this point. So if you've got Armand then kind of showing up, looking at Larry, and he's looking for Lestat, I mean, it was an interesting choice to be like, you know what? It's time to rest in front of that subway. I was like, you're not going to just kind of follow him to see if maybe his brother might lead him to Lestat? Are you not looking for Lestat?
Armand is such a confusing character to me, and
I
maybe
agree.
maybe this is why I love him, but I just sit back and I think, Armand, you've been alive for so long. I would
God.
feel like at times you would know better ways to handle situations than this because the idea, and I can't crawl inside Armand's brain here and think, oh, is he trying to push Lestat away? Is he trying to say, oh, I'm going to take out all these people close to you to get you to stop? But it's like, Lestat's such a rebel that I feel like doing this is just going to make him want to do then the opposite thing.
Yeah, my feeling is my tinfoil hat is
Yeah.
that he did not hear this situation. He did not hear that Larry's actually quit the band entirely, and that there could be a possibility that either he's still with the band or he could go back to the band. Maybe he wasn't being honest, whatever it was. And Armand wants to stop the music, and he'd be like, okay, if I take out Larry, the band can not recover, at least not for now until they find somebody else.
Okay, so the last big thing to talk about in this episode is Akasha. And, because we're not super into the source material here, like I knew who Akasha was. I saw the casting news going into this season, so I had like a moderate awareness. This is not how I expected this character to be presented at all. Like I was going into this more thinking that she was just going to show up. She was going to be like the person to directly stop Lestat from whatever it was. I did not think it was going to be like some long flashbacks of him spending all this time with her in the past before she suddenly speaks. And then, oh boy.
I did not know much about this character at all, so it was all brand new to me going back into the past with her and seeing what the relationship was for a while, that after his mother had abandoned him, that he was brought in to then be the keeper of Akasha for a while this other person was like, you know what, peace out, I am out of this, I've been doing this for decades now, I need a break, you're going to be doing this, she's asked for you, now you're here. And watching this whole thing was so wild that at first he's just like, I don't know how to do this or what I'm supposed to do, but by the end of it he's like doing anything and everything for hosting dinner parties with pretend people and pretend vampires, pretend everything. It was actually kind of sweet.
There's a sweetness to it, and there's also just a terror behind it because once we actually got to hear Akasha, and it almost
Yes.
felt like because she is so like unbelievably ancient. Like she knows everything except maybe like how to be in this world. And
I
seeing that,
know, hearing her be like, scoop. Oh, there's a P on the end of it. Scoop.
it's like there is
It's so
something.
cute. Listen, I know that they're vampires and they're doing all kinds of bad things, but
Yes,
there was something very wholesome about
there
that.
there's something wholesome and terrifying about her like at the same time, and that's just why I think this flashback sequence, it was really interesting to hear Lestat talk about being, in service of something other than himself. Like it
Yes.
did add a lot of context to this character, but it also did feel like, is this like an element of foreshadowing? We don't really know that much about what's going on with Akasha now in the present. Like, is there still a chance that she shows up in some shape or form, not asleep, very
Mhm.
much alive? And if there's something that's going to upset things one way or another, whether that is, turning a lot more vampires or stopping it, like that is the big fulcrum character right now. It is the great unknown. And she's somebody who is so like impossible to break down, even just based on what we saw.
I think that this whole time that he spent with her, caring for her, was really important just for him as a person slash vampire, because before that he was very bratty. He's bratty now too, but he was very much like whatever his mother wants. He was just doing anything and everything, that she was controlling everything about him, and he wasn't necessarily giving back to anyone.
Mhm.
And now he was in a position where he had to give back, and he had to give everything of himself to give to another vampire, another person. And I think that that has molded him now, where he's learned to really love from different people throughout his life, Louis,
Yeah.
of course. But I think he really learned, and that was his first time really learning how to just care for somebody else, someone you don't know,
Yeah.
that you don't have any prior relationship with, but your job is to keep this person safe and eternally make sure that anything she needs, you care for this person. And I think that not a lot of people, even in life, end up in that position where they are just caregivers.
I think it was really, really important for Lestat. I think it adds so much to the character. It helps us understand him and Louis. And it also just makes me feel like these final episodes of this show, they're going to be just like the convergence of all these different things and time periods and themes and stories. Like I am prepared to have my jaw on the floor. I already am after watching this episode. But let's turn this over to you guys. What did you think about season 3, episode 5,
Mhm.
best Sam Reed performance ever? Did you love having Louis and Lestat together again? And also be sure to join our memberships for our discussion about what has truly happened to Lestat. Is he alive? Is he gone?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you here next time.